and troubled reign as DIG Douglas Kanja takes over as the new Inspector General of the National Police Service. President William Ruto has appointed Douglas Kanja as the Inspector General of the National Police Service. This follows approval by the National Assembly on Wednesday. He had earlier on been approved by the Senate after vetting. Kanja will take over from Japhet Koome, who resigned in July. I, William Ruto, appoint Douglas Kanja Kirosho to be the Inspector General of the National Police Service for a term of 4 years, the Gazette notice read. Kanja is the immediate former Deputy Inspector General of Kenya Police. Prior to his nomination by the President to become Inspector General, he served as acting IG after Koome's resignation. Upon nomination, Deputy IG Administration Police Gilbert Masengeli was appointed acting IG. Masengeli, who only held the position temporarily, following Japhet Koome's resignation, now exists in disrepute after poorly handling critical issues such as the disappearance of 3 young men in Kitengela, which led to his recent 6-month jail sentence for contempt of court. With his extensive 39-year career in the service, IG Kanja now faces the daunting task of resolving these issues and restoring confidence in the National Police Service. Now, just as a note or a side note, the new Inspector General is 61 years of age. This comes just recently after President William Samuel Ruto had said that nobody will be appointed into office if they are above the age of 60 years. What happens for the next 4 years? Will the new IG's age be going downwards, or what shall happen to this? Moving on to other news, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has joined the family of the late Deputy Governor of Lamu County, Raphael Munywa Ndongo, for his funeral in Mpeketoni. Ndongo died on September 6, 2024. Gachagua said, in times of deep pain and always, humanity should turn its eyes to the Lord God, the sole giver of human life. And I quote him, Raphael was a steadfast family man and a patriotic public servant. My heartfelt sympathies to his family, the people of Lamu County, his friends and relatives.
Na sisi tunasemanga ya Mungu tunaifuata vile iko, hatuwezi uliza Mwenyezi Mungu swali. So for the people of Lamu County, as we bury your Deputy Governor, we want to say we are together with you in prayers. Na vile governor amesema atachukua muda wake, atafute kiongozi ambaye atakuja kumsaidia kuendesha county hii na pia kuweka watu pamoja. Kwa hivyo sisi hatutaki tulete mambo mingi, hiyo ndio imetulete. Na tunataka tuseme tumepata nafasi nzuri na my deputy governors, thank you very much for coming to escort your brother. That is what a good family does. A family stays together. Kwa familia ya deputy governors pia tunasema poleni. Mimi nikiuzia tu kidogo ni kwamba hii county ya Lamu ni county ya maana sana, kwa sababu iko na nafasi kubwa sana katika uchumi wetu, hasa uchumi samawati. Hapa ndio tuko na the second port na tuko na a lot of resource katika bahari. Na hii county ya Lamu ni county ya kila mtu. Kwa hivyo sisi tukipata amani hapa, na gavana na senator ni mshukuru kwa kuweka watu pamoja. Sisi zote ni wa Kenya, tuunganishe watu wetu, waongee lugha moja, wapendane, wafanye kazi pamoja, ndio maendeleo yetu iweze kuenea na tuweze kushughulikia hali ya maisha ya watu wetu. So governor and your team, I want to encourage you to continue building cohesion, putting people together so that watu waishi kwa amani. Tumekuwa na challenges ya kiusalama ambaye pale katika ikulu ya rais wetu William Ruto, nikiwa pale tukiwa na yeye tuliwalika hao viongozi wote, governor, senator, women rep, the 2 members of parliament, all members of the county assembly na maafisa wetu wa usalama. Tukakuwa na kikao cha faragha mambo ya usalama katika county hii. Na mimi nafurahi sana ya kwamba tulipofanya huo mkutano tumekuwa na hali ya amani katika county hii ya Lamu.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has called on President William Samoei Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga to expedite the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) to ensure proper representation for Kenyans. Speaking on the matter, he criticized the delay in implementing reforms, including the failure to meet the two-thirds gender rule in selecting IEBC panel nominees. Musyoka stressed the need for electoral justice ahead of the 2027 elections, urging political parties and stakeholders to adopt the NADCO report's recommendations. He also highlighted the challenges faced by youths in acquiring ID cards, which hinders their participation in elections, and warned against rigging in upcoming polls.
Furthermore, the people of Banisa, Kisia East, Tana River, Unguja urgently require representation as a matter of right. The delay in reconstituting the IEBC denies them their legitimate representation in Parliament as well as the county assemblies. Also take note of the deliberate attempt by some institutions that are instrumental in the dispute resolution mechanisms to delay the reconstitution and restructuring of the IEBC. Consider, for example, the recent decision by the Political Parties Tribunal in complaint number E008 of 2024, which overlooked the respondent's position that the two-thirds gender principle is a constitutional and legal requirement for selecting nominees for the IEBC selection panel. Despite the interest of the minority party coalition, the tribunal backed a questionable political parties liaison committee election that resulted in a list of nominees that was entirely male. It is my opinion that the minority coalition party, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party, in presenting the name of their representative, not only considered the two-thirds gender guideline, but also undertook a competitive and transparent process as required by the law to select their nominee. As a result, the Parliamentary Service Commission should proceed to forward the name of Ambassador Dr. Koki Muli as Azimio's nominee for the minority party to the IEBC selection panel as presented by PPLC. I know the matter may be escalated here and there, but I think a time comes when you have now to take a political decision. Electoral justice and transparency. The demand for electoral justice is at the core of the electoral reform movement. The past grievances that have tainted our elections must be addressed. Election-related disputes and discontent are a sign that the public faith.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has ensured parents are cushioned from economic distress by providing subsidized meals to public schools and ECDE schools across all the 17 sub-counties in Nairobi County. He freely interacted with the school children and shared a meal during their lunch break. Governor Sakaja rolled out Tishina County Phase 3 at the opening of the third term this year that onboarded 60 more schools, increasing the number of schools under the program to 216. This was after the completion of an additional seven central kitchens, bringing the total kitchens to 17, distributed across the 17 sub-counties. The county is currently feeding 310,000 children at a cost of 5 Kenyan shillings paid through the Tap to Eat system.
Does anyone know why I started this in a county? Why? Yes.
Because you love us.
Yes, you're right. Let's clap for her. Muna enjoy hii chakula? Muna enjoy? Inakuja kila siku? Kuna mtu anakosa? No child should ever miss the food.
This watch, this is the one we wear for the school feeding. And we've included technology. Using this, we can track every child who has permission to eat, any dietary restrictions. These days, you don't need to do the register. I just see this, through Tap to Eat. And so we want to expand it now to the informal schools. Because unfortunately, our city was left behind. We have very few schools in Nairobi. Many of them are in informal schools that are not recognized. that are not registered, those children are also our children. And so we're mapping and connecting them to public primary schools. At lunchtime, they come, they eat, and then they go back to their school. That is what I'm working on, and it must work. So despite the resistance that was there, including court cases, and the judge said, "Are you chakula ya watoto? Are you mad? Who would want to stop this?" We're also working now on the infrastructure of many of our schools. Our plan is to build 1,500 new classrooms in 3 years. We're doing 5,000 for primary and ECD, but for early childhood pre-primary, we're doing 1,500, starting with 500 this year. We've started the 114, we have a plan for that. Completing stall projects in the schools that were going on. So at these children, if a children does not like early childhood education center, they will not like school, in future. That their school is smelling, it is dark, it is dirty, they're hungry. If that is the introduction to education, it will be hardwired in their heart that school is not a good place to be. But if they find it is a lovely place, it is bright, there is joy, there is food, the teachers are joyful, their capacity has been built, they will love school.
Now, while we're still on education, stakeholders in Nyeri County's education sector have convened to discuss strategies for enhancing educational standards in the region. The meeting brought together teachers, parents, government officials, and other key players to explore ways to improve education quality and achieve better student outcomes. Key issues addressed included upgrading school infrastructure, increasing teaching resources, and fostering better collaboration between teachers and parents. They also discussed challenges facing the sector, such as teacher shortages and inadequate teaching materials, as well as the economic impacts related to education. All this happening in light of the ongoing lecturer strike and the threatened students' strike.
Last year we were here, and I want to congratulate the honorable member of Parliament for Teto, Bwana Joyfully Wadeto, for making sure that every child has a right to education. Still, he makes sure that food is not just a necessity, but a fundamental right to the child. That in itself nourishes the child in terms of growth, academically, and all that. Hawa watoto wakilishwa mzuri, alafu wazazi waelimishwe, waweke watoto, waone watoto wote wanakuwa kwa shule. Sio ati mtoto anafukuzwa juu ya school fees, juu ya maneno ya kukosa kuwa kwa shule, juu pengine vitabu. Wazazi wahimizwe sana waweke wanafunzi kwa shule, kwa sababu mheshimiwa amejaribu kuwasaidia sana.
The first meeting with our honorable MP, surely much has been attained, because the main aim of our MP is not only education but quality education, and also improving our performance. This is by making sure that there is the retention of the children in school, and that the learners are getting good education, and also the area it's conducive for learning. So our MP has invested so much in improving the face of our institutions, and even providing areas where actually there is much need, like renovation of the classes, and even making the laboratories that we do not have, which is increasing the number of learners who are passing the exam.
The Permanent Secretary of the State Department of Agriculture, Dr. Kiprono Rono, has flagged off the first batch of 47,300 tons, equivalent to over 1 million bags of NPK fertilizers, to be distributed to over 650,000 tea farmers ahead of the October, November, December short rains. The fertilizer is the first batch of 97,000 tons procured by the KTDA, that is Kenya Tea Development Agency, to support farmers. The next consignment is expected to dock in the next 2 weeks. Dr. Rono said at the Port of Mombasa that the government is fulfilling its commitment to tea farmers through the fertilizer subsidy program.
The fertilizers we have flagged off today is the first batch. We are yet to receive the next batch in the next 3 weeks of another 1 million bags of these fertilizers, which the tea farmers will be able to get and then use them in their farms. As promised also by this government, the cost of 1 bag of fertilizer still remain at 2,500. So tea farmers, like other farmers, will benefit from the subsidized program which the government has put in place for all our farmers in terms of fertilizers. Over the last 1 year, the tea sector contributed close to 4% of our GDP, which in terms of money, it moved from 138 billion Kenya shillings to an earning of close to 200 billion Kenya shillings. And it is attributed to good rains, the government program on fertilizer subsidy, and also increment on tea pushes. And I would like to encourage the tea farmers as we work together to really step up their game, because now they have received the fertilizers, so that as government move ahead to look for markets for their tea, then we have enough tea stock and in terms of quality, so that our farmers can not only get their livelihood from tea, but also as a country we improve on our social economic indicators. As KDD and the ministry, we have looked at the issues which are related to the low bonuses in some factories, and we realize that some factories have got challenges to do with operational efficiency, which we have commissioned an audit of all the factories to check on their challenges, so that the government and KDDA can support the factories which are facing some efficiency in terms of operation.
Now, at least 300 members of county assemblies, majorly drawn from the central Kenya region, have now also expressed support for Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki as the region's political kingpin. MCAs from Nairobi, as well as 11 Mount Kenya counties, namely Murang'a, Kiambu, Laikipia, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Embu, Nyandarua, Nakuru, Isiolo, Meru, and Tharaka Nithi, made the declaration in a joint address and subsequent statements to the newsrooms that was yesterday evening. They resolved to rally behind the Interior CS as the ideal link between the Mount Kenya region and the Kenya Kwanza government.
The ongoing political bickering in our region, which is largely informed by lack of leadership within Mount Kenya region, as grassroots leaders who interact daily with the people that we represent, faced with the many challenges on our welfare, we have identified and agreed as a region to rally behind the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who has agreed to be the champion of our region's development agenda and our welfare, mainly our terms as members of the County Assembly, the Ward Development Fund, pension, the financial autonomy of county assemblies, and finally taxation of our motor vehicle reimbursement, who shall be our focal point and the link to the national government on matters of our welfare, our leadership, and our region's development. On our welfare, he has agreed to offer us a feedback within a period of 30 days. Proper coordination with the national government will help supplement the input of county governments and accelerate development in the next 3 years of President Ruto's first term in office. We have confidence in Professor Kindiki's competence, experience, and capacity to advance our region's development needs together with the interest of all the other regions, resulting in a country that develops as a whole for the prosperity and benefit of all our citizens. The conversations happening outside our region that seem to depict our leadership as ethnically divisive and retrogressive. We have basically become the laughing stock of this country. We are better than this, and we are better than this. The current political conversation are negatively impacting our ability to champion the development interests of our people. and derailing service provision, therefore disadvantaging our region. We call on all the players to deeply and carefully reflect on the priorities and focus our energies on development projects that will transform the lives of the people that we represent. We have noted and appreciated the proposal by members of Parliament from Mount Kenya region on the need to front a united and coordinated push for development and the current lack of focus point to prioritize and track implementation of development projects in this region. We register our unequivocal support for the President William Ruto in his pursuit for equitable development of the country and improving the livelihoods of the Kenyan people.
Chairperson of people living with disabilities in the region, in the northeastern region, Hafid Malim, has called on the government to implement the 5% inclusion policy for PWDs in employment, both in public and private sectors. Speaking during a public address, Hafid highlighted that the policy, which mandates the inclusion of PWDs in elective and appointive positions, has been largely ignored. He urged the president to take personal responsibility in ensuring the policy's enforcement, emphasizing that PWDs are being left behind in critical areas like education, healthcare, and employment.
No disabled have been elected through the top post as the ministers. The 5% of the elective posts and appointive of the bodies have been violated. The policy in this country is still lacking implementation. Law and order should be maintained and follow up from the president himself to the ground. Mr. President, I have gone around the country to talk to the disability on the ground so that the 5% appointive of the public bodies should be taken seriously, and policies on the parliament should be considered. We have been with you since last election. We still believe on you, and we still have hopes that you are taking care of us so that we are at par with this like any other Kenyans. Challenges, we cannot compete like others on the ground, especially the education sector, the bursaries, the health sector, the employment sector. Also, people as Kenyans taking care of their bills and so forth, not begging other Kenyans on the disabled, even the health sector and so forth. It's good when you are employed or you are taking care of, or you have business, your own things, you can assist other disabled that are on the ground.
Our Tana River County residents have been urged to collaborate with various stakeholders for the region's development. Idris Salim Dakota, Principal Secretary of the State Department for Cabinet Affairs, and Bura Constituency MP Yakub Ado emphasized the need for joint efforts between the government, private sector, and local communities. They highlighted that this cooperation is essential for addressing key issues like infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Both leaders called for unity in driving sustainable growth and improving the quality of life for the county's residents.
Na vile vile tunaomba viongozi wetu kuanzia governor, senator, wabunge, tushikane tuwe kitu kimoja. Tukishikana ndio Tana River itaendelea mbele. Shida kubwa ambayo kwa hapa ni kwamba ikiwa viongozi katika at national level wameungana, kwani sisi tukiungana kuna makosa? Iko makosa? Kabla ya maendeleo ingine yoyote, maendeleo kubwa kabisa ni amani. Mkionana sisi wanasiasa kwa maneno, labda kuna cheche za maneno na kuguzana kidogo, isiingie kati yenu. Nyinyi muishi kwa usalama. Mimi mshahara yangu ni yangu, mshahara ya gavana ni yake, mshahara ya Ali Ashaka ni yake, mshahara ya Aminadika ni yake, Mheshimiwa Said Posta pia ana yake, na MCS na speaker na majority, kila mtu akona yake. Hakuna atakaye share na wewe mshahara yako, wewe kama kiongozi, kwa sababu wewe kama ni baba, wewe ni kiongozi ya jamii. kiongozi ya familia, na wasihi ya kwamba amani tuweze kudumisha kwa nidhamu hii ya kuweza kujumlisha viongozi wote, tukae kwa meza pamoja ili tuafikie maendeleo ya watu wa Tana River kwa ujumla.
Nominated member of Nairobi County Assembly Joy Muthoni Mwangi claims that her life is in danger following an alleged assault by the Komarok member of County Assembly, Chris Mtumishi. According to the nominated MCA, Mtumishi hijacked the projects she had initiated at the Komarok ward, which led to an altercation where she was assaulted and injured. Mtumishi, however, presented himself to Kayole Police Station prior and said that the matter will be solved in court. Muthoni has claimed that the Soweto Police Station involved in the case is corrupt, and this allegation has added a layer of controversy to the situation, influencing the broader discussion surrounding the assault charge and the integrity of the investigation.
Na vile vile tunaomba viongozi wetu
mambo mnajua vile iliwaka moto kutoka asubuhi. ODPP wanasema mara kesi ni mbili, mara nini, na mimi mwenyewe sijakuwa summoned nini police station, si ndio? Mlini escort kwa police station wote kuchukua statement? Hapana. Mlini escort kwa ile police station, si ndio? Kwenda kuandikisha statement kwamba nimefanya nini? Umepigwa. Umepigwa na nani? Lakini tumefika hapa tukapata kuna hiyo kesi yangu against him, lakini pia kuna ingine ambaye yeye ameandikisha na ikaletwa huku without my awareness. So on that note, wakili wangu ataweza kuelezea what really happens and what action we will take for that case to come from police station, which is at Soweto, away from where the case the jurisdiction of the place where kulikuwa na hiyo vita, akaenda Soweto 5 kilometers away kureport bila kwenda Kayole.
Na tulifika hapa juu sisi yetu alipigwa na mheshimiwa ule amechaguliwa kwa Komarok, na ile kufika hapa ile kitu tumeona kuna corruption kwa baka kwa ofisi ya DPT.
Yes.
Hakuna venye kesi inaweza kuja hapa mbili na ule mtu aliripoti wa kwanza anageuziwa yanabaka nawekwa ndani. Ule mtu ameriport, ule mtu aligongana anaenda kuriport another station yenye huyu afai kuriport Soweto. Sisi tunajua police Soweto imekuwa ni ya corrupt. Na hao watu ndio wamefanya hii kesi ikakuja hapa. Na kesi jenu ilikuwa ya mheshimiwa Muthoni Joy, nominated MCA.
And that, my esteemed viewer, marks the end of EBN TV News at 1. Thank you very much for keeping me company. I was yours, Consolata Chibalonza. And until next time, God bless.